We have a lot of supporting organizations that have come through. NoBAWC, which is a network of Bay Area worker cooperatives, the California Center for Cooperative Development, the US Federation of Worker Cooperatives are all supporting this event and will be participating during the small groups, as well as Communities for a Better Environment, who's also in this space. So thank you, everybody, and without further ado, let us begin the show.
Hi, everyone. It is so wonderful to see you all here today. My name is Eve Weissman. I'm a law student and a legal clerk at the East Bay Community Law Center, and we just want to give you a sense of what we're going to be doing this afternoon. So you're going to hear a PowerPoint presentation. There'll be a number of different presenters. We're going to go through and provide a lot of different information. First, we're going to talk about what worker cooperatives are. We're going to talk about how you form a worker cooperative, how you govern a worker cooperative, how you finance a worker cooperative, how the money works and flows within the actual business. We're also going to touch on some employment law issues, nonprofit incubation of worker cooperatives, and opportunities for green jobs.
One bright and sunny day in Oakland, California, 4 landscape workers develop an idea.
Ow, my back is killing me.
I've been working for 17 hours straight. No break, no water. I'm fed up with this.
This fertilizer is toxic.
Hey, get back to work. You guys are making me rich. But I'm not going to make any money for just standing around.
I'm done with this. We're the ones actually doing all the work around here. We should start our own business that we own.
Yeah, a green business, one that won't make us sick.
A worker-owned green business. Who's with me?
Me.
Me.
Me? Yeah.
Me.
Woo!
The owners of Green Commonwealth, the name of this new landscaping business, will now embark upon a challenging journey. They must navigate through the murky waters of starting a business, choosing a business entity, talking to lawyers and banks, funding their business, and thinking about the law and how it will affect their endeavor. You may be in a similar position as these founders. Today, we hope to give you an overview of what you need to know when starting a cooperatively run, worker-owned business.
So, what are worker cooperatives? Worker cooperatives are business entities that are owned by their members, run by their members, and operated for the benefit of their members. Worker cooperatives can exist in a few different ways. Worker cooperatives could be a legal entity, a legal structure, or basically just a set of practices and principles that a group of people are organized by. So when we talk about a cooperative as a legal entity, we're really talking about a cooperative that's organized under the California Corporations Code under the cooperative statute. So it's a legal entity run to be a cooperative within the confines of the California law. Every state, or most states, have specific laws governing exactly how a cooperative as a legal entity might be run. So if you want to have the word cooperative in your name in California, it's important to know that you actually have to incorporate under the California Corporations Code under the cooperative section of the code. But sometimes people want to operate as a cooperative, but not necessarily be formally incorporated as a cooperative under the law. And our presentation will talk about why and how people might navigate and make these different decisions. For example, folks might want to become a limited liability company or a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation that still adheres to cooperative principles in the operating agreement or the charter bylaws of the organization, but again, isn't formally a cooperative under the California statute. And finally, cooperatives can also just be a set of principles that govern a group of people and how they operate. Either a group of people may not want to incorporate as a legal entity at all. For example, a group of tenants might want to live together and have cooperative principles such as one person, one vote, and other democratic cooperative ways of operating, but not formally incorporate. Or you might have a nonprofit that wants to make decisions cooperatively and democratically, but is a nonprofit and isn't sort of formally a cooperative under the law or perhaps even in their official governing structure. So what does worker ownership mean? So because worker cooperatives are owned and controlled by and for the people who work there, they operate differently than regular businesses in some very key ways. And those are joint ownership, democratic control, and member benefit. So in terms of joint ownership, first take a traditional business enterprise. Typically it's going to be owned by the sole proprietors or perhaps the shareholders whose main interest is in making a profit. Worker cooperatives are also interested in making a profit, but the difference is that they're also very invested in making sure that the business meets the needs of its workers. So they're more interested, perhaps than a traditional business, in paying fair wages, in investing in the local community, and in making sure that we have a healthy environment and a healthy and safe workplace for the people who work there. In terms of democratic control, so in a typical business, decisions are generally made by investors, and oftentimes the amount of power that any given individual has is determined by how many shares they have or how much money they've invested in the business. A central tenet of a worker cooperative is the idea of one person, one vote. So each member owner of the cooperative has an equal say in making decisions about how the business works, and we'll talk more about these sorts of governance issues and how they really work in practice. Finally, member benefit. So in an investor-owned business, profits are generally distributed also based on how much ownership or how much money people have invested in the business. Worker cooperatives are quite different. Worker cooperatives generally work on what we would call a patronage system. So when there's surplus money at the end of the fiscal year, that money is generally divided up among the worker owners based on how much they worked or how much they contributed to the business. Nobody necessarily or automatically gets more benefit or more profit simply because they invested more money. So that's also another really key difference. So in certain ways, worker cooperatives are like regular businesses. They develop products or services and they sell them to the public in order to benefit and support the people who own the business. But in other ways, they're quite different. Worker cooperatives are more likely to create stable, fair-paying jobs, adopt environmentally sustainable business practices, and give back to the local community. And we think some of the key ways and some of why worker cooperatives are so special is because that they do promote worker health and happiness, sustainability, and contribution to the community. So because the workers own the business, they're more interested, while they do want to earn a profit, they're also invested in making sure that workers have a healthy and safe environment to work in, that they're paying fair wages, and that they have a safe business environment for the people who work there. We often think of this as a multiple bottom line, that there's multiple things in addition to profit that they care about. So workers tend to be happier when they have ownership in the decisions and when they can make decisions that directly benefit their lives. In terms of sustainability, unlike a business that might be owned by people from outside the community in which it's located, worker-owned cooperatives tend to be owned and run by people who live in the community. And so decisions about sustainability are going to be impacted by that. They're going to be less likely to want to do things that destroy resources or use toxic chemicals or devastate open spaces, because they and the workers and their families and friends and neighbors are the people who will be directly impacted by those negative environmental decisions. And finally, contribution to the community. So similarly, worker cooperatives tend to build community wealth through local ownership. They're more likely to form partnerships with other local businesses, to hire local workers, and to reinvest their profits in the neighborhood in which they're located. So we think for all these reasons, worker cooperatives are a really great business model, and this entire presentation is set up to give you a lot of information about how you can go ahead and start them. Next, we're going to hear from Bali, who's going to talk about entity formation, how to set up a worker cooperative, and also about governance structure.